Spider-Man 2 is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I do not understand why a single person in this entire world would relate to the character of Spider-Man in this movie. People say, oh, it's because he goes through everyday normal stuff. No. Now, I think the one thing that people find so relatable about Spider-Man in this movie is the fact that he's still a virgin. I mean, so many people have made so many analysis videos on how great Spider-Man 2 is, but let's just face it, I could go through the entire movie and discuss how dog shit this movie is. Which is what I'm about to do. So we start out with Spider-Man, and he almost hits his own boss with his bicycle. Now, that would be understandable, because if you look at Mr. Aziz's shirt, there's some red stains on his shirt. So you would assume, oh, that's sauce, cause pizza. But no, it's actually blood. However, Spider-Man decides not to stop him, and neither do the police, because they're fucking morons. You also go a little further in, and we get our first product placement, which is a Dr. Pepper. This was done horribly. The way you do product placement is, you're supposed to shove it in people's faces. What do? They just put it in the background. They just put it as a cup, as a bottle, as a machine. But no, nobody says the iconic line, "Can I get a Dr. Pepper, please?" So he tells him he has to deliver these pizzas. Understandable, okay.
Hey, you guys. No playing in the streets.
Yes, Mr. Spider-Man.
Stupid fucking kids. And then Spider-Man once again decides to be the villain and steals this guy's pizza.
Whoa! He stole that guy's pizza!
And then we get to the scene where Spider-Man shows his true identity. And he does this just by saying the most influential line within all of cinema.
Pizza time.
But then what pisses me off is this bitch has the audacity to deny him pizza time.
I'm not paying for those.
That's not how a human being works.
Elevator?
Whatever.
And for no reason at all, Mr. Aziz fires him. I'm assuming it's just because of out of some sort of labor laws or whatever. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Planning is not a major at this university.
Unless you wanted any job ever, then, I mean, you gotta plan to have that job, or let alone when you have that job, you gotta plan stuff out. So technically, planning is a major. And then we cut to Peter showing up at Aunt May's house. For what reason, we don't know. And then he walks through the door. And who's there? Obviously Aunt May. Then there's also this bitch who, as we know from the previous movie, was like, "Oh, Peter, I love you." And then, as the true player Peter is, he says, "No, thank you. A virgin till the day I die. Thank you very much."
He lives in another reality.
Oh, and then James Franco's also there.
Hey.
Hey, buddy.
Now again, a lot of people love this movie, but what I don't get is the scene right after that, where Peter literally robs Aunt May of her money.
Here, kiddo, happy birthday. You need it more than I do.
No, I can't take that.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't take that.
You can take this money from me.
No, I can't take that.
For God's sake, it's not much. Now take it.
No, I can't take that.
It's just that I miss your Uncle Ben so much.
No, I can't take that.
I think to myself at times, were I to face the one responsible for what happened, I don't know what I'd do.
No, I can't take that.
And then what's even more criminal is that in the next scene, Mr. Dickovich asks for rent. And what happens next makes no sense. I mean, I respect him, but it just makes no sense. Mr. Dickovich gives Peter $20. I don't understand this man's logic. I don't quite understand what Sam Raimi was going for in this scene, in correlation to him robbing his own aunt. But is he trying to say that Mr. Dickovich is his aunt? Does he have these fantasies about Mr. Dickovich? Sam Raimi, please let me know in the comments section down below. What the fuck were you thinking? So as Peter discussed earlier in the movie, his idol is Dr. Otto Octavius. As if that didn't even sound like a very menacing name at all. And then in the next scene, he gets to meet him. And then he just tells him to fuck off.
But I really don't have time to talk to students right now.
And then they go on and on about some bullshit ass science. I mean, trust me, who gives a fuck about science? This is where I draw the line. They're discussing about love. Okay, sure. Love, okay, it's part of every superhero movie, yada yada yada. But we're also revealed that I'm assuming Otto Octavius has never gotten pussy in his life. He does have a wife, but they've never had intercourse because this man literally says,
Feed her poetry.
Now, ladies, let's be honest, what gets us men more pussy? Poetry or playing Combat Evolved? So Peter's on his way to go to some fucking play, like, who goes to plays anymore? And in the process of going there, he just decides randomly to just get rid of his bike and decide to hit these random people who are right behind him.
How'd you do that?
And then he tells some kids, and probably the most criminal thing in the entire movie, he says,
Eat your green vegetables.
I'm sorry, this is not the Peter Parker I knew from the comic books. The Peter Parker I knew would always suggest pizza time. And if Peter Parker didn't have enough, what does he do? He decides to steal the car away from the people. However, the police do come and they go, hey, we're gonna take that back if you don't give it back. And then he just goes,
Whatever.
so then he realizes he's late. Okay, we get it. He's late to see Mary Jane's show. You know, Ash Williams is like, nah, honey. And then after the show, what does he see? He sees MJ kissing a girl. Now, this is perfect. Because now, if Drake taught us anything, it's that anybody can be a lesbian. But his plan is ruined when some dude comes up to her and literally sexually assaults her right then and there. So what does Peter do? He just tries to kill himself. And then we get the only good scene in the entire movie.
Cool Spidey outfit.
Whatever.
In the most shocking scene in the entire movie, Otto Octavius tells everybody that he's the bad guy. He says that he stole money and somebody's rubber band. Then it's revealed that everybody just laughs at him and they don't believe him. So then he just creates a sun and decides to just destroy everything. And then Spider-Man stops him. And then James Franco, for some reason, is mad at Spider-Man for touching him. I'm assuming it's because he thinks Spider-Man is a woman. And then probably the most understandable scene in this entire movie, Otto Octavius then kills the room full of doctors because hospitals, they don't go to fix you, they go to kill you. So he had every right to fight for his life. We then cut to J. Jonah Jameson, you know, coming up with the name, you know, Dr. Octopus, Doctor Strange, and then he comes up with
New villain in town. Doc Cock.
Genius.
What are you looking for, a raise? Get out.
And then Otto Octavius decides to rebuild it. For what reason? I'm assuming it's just so he could be bad. He decides to show that, I guess, by stealing more money. Ow! And here's something that really bothers me. In the scene, Peter Parker just abandons Aunt May just like that, without a single freaking thought. But Aunt May doesn't even bring it up. Her excuse is just,
It's water over the dam or under the bridge or wherever you like it. But
if I was Aunt May, I'd be like, son, you're out of the house. I don't care if you got an apartment, you're out of the house.
Get out.
And then they have like a whole fight or whatever.
Getting on my nerves.
Whatever.
And then Spider-Man, for no reason at all, just lets him go. Like, we read Spider-Man comic, we would know that Spider-Man can do two things at once. Peter goes to a party and then gets slapped in the face by James Franco. I'm assuming it's because James Franco thinks he's a woman. Because Tobey Maguire does have some very feminine features. He kind of looks like a chameleon a little bit. And then MJ decides to be a whole ass. Now I know. I know. She's kind of a hoe throughout this entire series. And that's what I hate about these movies. I hate the fact that she's just a hoe the entire series. And she decides, hey, I'm gonna marry this dude, even though I just met him like 5 hours ago. And because of this, what does he do? He decides to kill himself all over again. And then we get the return of homeboy himself, Uncle Ben.
Pour one out for Uncle Ben! Pour it out for him! Yeah!
Now, I absolutely hate this scene. And it's not because they even attempted it. It's the fact that they stole it from The Rise of Skywalker. Compared to The Rise of Skywalker, it's just... The Rise of Skywalker is just one of the greatest movies ever made, so you can't even compete. So because they can't be The Rise of Skywalker, Peter decides to give up being Spider-Man and face his problems, which is the stupidest idea he could possibly ever do, ever. Essentially, Spider-Man's a bit of a pussy, and this is how we know Peter Parker is the real villain of this story. Not because he lets these cops go, not because he lets people get beat up. It's because he ate a hot dog. And everybody knows how criminal that is, because who the fuck eats a hot dog these days? It's all about the burgers. And most importantly, it's all about
Pizza time.
And then, not even after that, he commits even a bigger crime. And he goes to see Mary Jane's show. And then she tells him to fuck off. See, my biggest problem with this is this man has no game. He does not understand. All these girls are the same. Now, I'm surprised he decided not to kill himself in this situation. This is why J. Jonah Jameson is the greatest character in the entire movie. J. Jonah Jameson plans to have a Halloween party, and he gets the Spider-Man costume. Now, he's the best character because he himself is truly just being a character, as this shows that he loves Spider-Man. So Peter tells Aunt May afterwards that he killed Uncle Ben, and then she just forgives him because love. This is where we are revealed that Aunt May is indeed the real villain, and Aunt May commits the biggest crime any supervillain of any movie has ever done before.
Hey, where are all my comic books?
Oh, those dreadful things. I gave those away.
I'm in shock. The nerve, the audacity.
She then gives out like a nice speech about what it means to be a hero and what it takes and whatever, and it kind of speaks to me, man. Like I enjoy that scene quite a bit.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble.
But I guess Peter didn't like it, because then he just tries to kill himself again.
My back! Oh, my back!
And then after that, you know, Peter decides he's gonna meet up with none other than Mary Jane, which is... oh my gosh. This man has zero game at all. MJ tries to be a hoe again and confess her love to Peter. You know, she's confusing him. He says no. Like, now that's the moment where you cheer and you go, my man. But then what does he do? He decides to give in to her ways. But wait. Let's not forget. Earlier in the movie, Harry Osborn's having a drink, okay? And then all of a sudden, who shows up? Otto Octavius. And James Franco decides to make a deal with Otto and goes, bring me Spider-Man. But most importantly, he says, don't hurt Peter! And then literally 10 minutes later, he throws a fucking car at him.
I want you to find your friend, Spider-Man. Find him, or I'll puke.
Can I get you a drink?
So being the real G that he is, Otto steals Spider-Man's girlfriend. And this is where Peter reveals to the audience that he is indeed the real bad guy, because then he steals J. Jonah Jameson's costume.
He's a menace to the entire city!
This is where I could imagine everybody in the theater just groaned and said, I'm done. And then one of the worst action scenes in all of cinema happens right before my eyes, and literally there are zero. And when I say zero, I mean zero, as in nothing. No good parts to this action scene at all. No good shots, no good choreography. There's nothing that's furthering the fight. And then he has to stop a train. And then he stops his train after shitting all over the passengers and whatever. And this ends up revealing his identity. Then they all just play it off like,
It's alright.
We won't tell nobody.
but you know damn well that the very next day, those two motherfuckers were probably selling those little smelling pencils or whatever. What were they called? Stencils. And they were like $10. $10 for a root beer stencil, and I'll tell you who Spider-Man is, just for free. So then Joey Diaz shows up and goes, no, Doc Ock, you cannot have Spider-Man. He's mine. I must bring him onto the Joe Rogan show. So then he brings him to James Franco, and James Franco's so fucking excited. He's like, I get to beat the fucking shit out of this woman right here. And then he removes the mask, and it's revealed to be Peter Parker.
Peace. No.
I don't know why he freezes up. I would have just killed him right then and there because this movie fucking sucks. And then Spider-Man literally beats the fucking shit out of James Franco.
Strawberries. No more.
Vegetables.
So then they go to the river where Otto Octavius is, and Spider-Man and Otto fight or whatever. What's the need for such violence? I don't understand why we need a whole action scene after having a whole nother action scene that just wasn't that good. Like, if anything, make it more interesting. Have them fight in Shipment in Modern Warfare. Spider-Man saves his hoe, which is the stupidest fucking thing he could have done, and then he's asking how to destroy his little son project, and Otto goes, no.
We have to shut it down.
I can't destroy it.
Please tell me how.
I can't destroy it.
Look at what's happening.
I can't destroy it.
We must destroy it.
I can't destroy it.
To do what's right, we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most. Even our comic books.
I can't destroy it.
So then after fighting each other, Otto's like, you know what, fine, I'll drown the sun. And there's nothing awesome about this shot at all. This shot looks so fucking stupid, I hate it. And then Peter looks behind him and sees the hoe herself, Mary Jane, and then is about to be crushed by some shit. And then the stupidest thing he could have ever done, he catches it.
MJ, in case we die.
You do love me.
I don't.
So Otto drowns the son. They escape. Otto drowns himself because he said that he lost in 1v1 Blood Gulch. Then James Franco is like, oh no, I think somebody broke into my house, and looks in the mirror and sees Willem Dafoe. Now, I didn't see Spider-Man 1, so I don't know if he was in the movie. So then he throws this knife at a mirror, and the mirror breaks, and there's all this random shit there. I don't understand. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Is this supposed to signify that he's gonna be fucking Egghead in the next movie? I don't know. I haven't seen Spider-Man 3. I didn't watch any one of the Spider-Man movies. This was the only one I've seen. So then Mary Jane is getting married in a church, and then she leaves a man at the altar. Now, regardless of if she met this man on Twitter, on Tinder, on Reddit, on Grindr, which is probably where they met, on Grindr, this is a hoe move. You left a man at the altar. Now, I don't care what anyone says, fuck this woman. And what does she do? She DDoSes Spider-Man and goes to his apartment and's like, I love you. And then they kiss. And then Spider-Man swings away out of fear of having his virginity taken. And then the movie ends. I don't get it. I don't get the love for this movie. I never understood it. This movie fucking sucks.
I'm about to run in here real quick, P. Alright, say no more. I'll be right back. Yo, June, how many you got next? I got you next, bro.